The shifting relationship between the US and China isn't just another foreign policy story. It's the story that quietly shapes your retirement account, your grocery bill, even the phone in your pocket. For decades, Washington and Beijing have been locked in a rivalry, but in recent years, the competition has turned into something far bigger, spilling into technology, trade, and even the food on American tables. And here's the catch. This contest is no longer confined to politicians and diplomats. It affects everyday lives around the world. That's why in today's video, we're diving deep into China's strategy with the US. How Beijing plays the long game, how Washington responds, and what it means for the rest of us. And trust me, you'll want to stick around, because what looks like small skirmishes over soybeans or smartphone chips are actually pieces of a much larger chessboard. Before we get started, if you find this breakdown valuable, take just a second to hit the like button and share this video. It helps more people see what's really going on in the world. Now let's get into it. For decades, America's allies looked to Washington as both shield and partner. But recently, many of those allies are finding out that US friendship comes at a steep cost. Henry Kissinger once put it bluntly, "To be America's enemy may be dangerous, but to be America's friend is fatal." That paradox is playing out right now. Take Japan, for example. Its prime minister was forced to step down after agreeing to a massive deal heavily shaped by US demands. The price tag? $550 billion. The catch? Washington dictated the projects and walked away with 90% of the returns, leaving Japanese investors with scraps. Not surprisingly, the public was furious, seeing not a partnership but exploitation. And it's not just Japan. South Korea too has felt the squeeze. After committing $350 billion for a US trade deal, the situation escalated when hundreds of Hyundai technicians were deported from America, sparking outrage in Seoul. These stories show us something important. Alliances that once looked like safety nets are starting to feel more like handcuffs. Meanwhile, Beijing plays an entirely different game. Unlike Washington's transactional approach, China is methodical, patient, and calculating. It doesn't lunge, it waits, sets the stage, and then moves with precision. Nowhere is this clearer than in the world of technology. Let's talk TikTok. To some, it's just a place for funny videos. But with 170 million American users, TikTok is a battlefield for influence, data, and control. The US wants it sold to an American company, with Oracle lined up as a buyer. For Beijing, TikTok is more than an app. It's leverage. And the way this fight plays out will set the tone for all future US-China tech clashes. But TikTok is just the surface. The real battlefield? Semiconductors, chips that power everything from AI to missiles. NVIDIA, the crown jewel of America's chip dominance, has been caught in the storm. Washington barred sales of advanced NVIDIA chips to China, hoping to slow down Beijing's AI progress. China hit back with restrictions on rare earth exports, forcing Washington to rethink. Then, during new trade talks, Beijing went a step further, launching an antitrust investigation into NVIDIA's $6.5 billion merger with Mellanox, threatening penalties and delays. In other words, America may block chips, but China controls the soil those chips depend on. And that's a reminder. This isn't just about products, it's about leverage. And here's where I want to pause and bring you into the conversation. Do you think Washington's aggressive export controls are actually slowing China down? Or are they pushing Beijing to innovate faster? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. Because the truth is, every US sanction seems to accelerate China's drive for independence. Companies like Huawei and Alibaba aren't just catching up, they're innovating. Even NVIDIA's CEO admitted recently that China is very, very close to matching US technology. And it doesn't stop with chips. Agriculture, yes, soybeans, has quietly become another weapon in this global rivalry. For years, American farmers depended on China as their biggest buyer. Millions of tons shipped every year, fueling both economies. But when the trade wars hit, that bond fractured. Today, silos in the Midwest are overflowing with unsold grain. Prices are collapsing. Farmers are losing around $100 per acre, and entire communities that once relied on soybean exports are struggling to survive. Meanwhile, China is buying record amounts from Brazil and Argentina, slashing its dependence on the US. In fact, Brazil now supplies about 70% of China's soy imports, double its share from 15 years ago. Think about that for a second. A shift in where China buys soybeans isn't just a trade statistic. It's a reshaping of livelihoods, politics, and even voting patterns in rural America. And this is exactly how Beijing plays the game. Slow, steady, and always diversifying. Every dollar not spent in Iowa strengthens ties with Brazil, Argentina, or another partner. For China, soybeans aren't just feed, they're leverage. But perhaps the biggest front in this rivalry isn't agriculture or even semiconductors. It's the race for dominance in the technologies of tomorrow. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, next-generation chips. Beijing has poured massive state subsidies into these fields, building an ecosystem that doesn't just aim to compete with the US, it aims to surpass it. And while America uses bans and sanctions to slow things down, China treats them as fuel. Each blockade becomes another reason to double down. Each blacklist strengthens Beijing's resolve to build its own supply chains. This is the essence of its strategy: patience, resilience, and self-sufficiency. Layered onto this is diplomacy. China's Belt and Road Initiative, those railways, ports, and highways stretching across Africa, Asia, and Europe, aren't just concrete and steel, they're influence. They're Beijing offering an alternative to Western dominance. While Washington leans on old alliances like NATO, China is forging new ones with investment and infrastructure. And the results? Many nations, especially in the global south, see Beijing as the partner for the future, not Washington. To them, the US looks transactional, unpredictable, even heavy-handed. China, by contrast, offers loans, projects, and a sense, real or not, of equal treatment. All of this is reinforced by something most people rarely think about: rare earth minerals. These obscure resources are essential for everything: your smartphone, your car battery, even America's fighter jets. And guess who controls the majority of their supply? China. Washington is scrambling to rebuild domestic supply chains, but that takes years and billions of dollars. Right now, Beijing's control of rare earths is perhaps its most powerful hidden weapon, a bargaining chip the US simply cannot match overnight. So where does all of this leave us? The rivalry between the US and China isn't just about two countries. It's about the rules of the entire global order: who sets them, who benefits, and who gets left behind. Kissinger's old words ring true. Being America's ally is increasingly costly, while China patiently builds its influence. From Tokyo's political turmoil to the soybean fields of Iowa, from Nvidia's boardrooms to TikTok's servers, every piece of this story connects back to the larger picture: Beijing rewriting the rules while Washington tries to defend the old playbook. The truth is, we're living through a transformation that will define not just the next few years, but the entire century. The outcome won't just determine superpower status. It will shape the opportunities and challenges for every nation, every community, and every family touched by this rivalry. So as you think about this contest, remember, it's not abstract. It's about the price of food, the chips in your devices, the alliances your country chooses, and the future your children inherit. And if you've stayed with me this far, thank you. Before you head out, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. It means a lot to have your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.